Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you are a friendly face around here. Today is the long-awaited 2022 best books of the year, in my humble opinion, which is very humble. We're just gonna like jump into it. I guess I'm gonna put a disclaimer, like if you don't like these books, that's cool. If you do, that's even better. Like, it's all subjective. Reading is a subjective, opinionated choice. So if you don't like one of these books, that's cool. I also probably don't like them for some same reason. But I had a very interesting time selecting which 10 books I wanted to say like were the best of the year. I had a good amount of 5 and like 4.5 star books, and so with that, it was a bit harder to decide what was worthy to be in this list. I don't 1000% stand by all of my choices. I don't know if these were accurate. I genuinely am not sure. There were so many great books that I had a really difficult time, which is why I will be doing a tier ranking of all the 4 and 5 star books that I read in 2022, so that you can see all of the things that I've thoroughly enjoyed. But these are going to be 10 that I really liked and I think are favorite books. But so are many. So before we jump right in, I do want to say that this list is slightly numbered. It is somewhat numbered. It's not 100% like number 1 is my all-time favorite book of the year, number 10 is my least, but like it's kind of right. I have a very hard time making these kinds of decisions, so this is just like 10 that I really enjoyed that I wanted to talk about. The first one that I have to talk about is going to be no surprise. We don't have to spend much time on it, but it is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I really enjoyed the story. I absolutely adored and loved the writing. It is something I hadn't really experienced before in my reading, and I loved it. I loved all of the characters. I loved all of the many perspectives this book is following. I just love the concept overall of like magicians going into this like very long wizarding battle to see who's the best apprentice wizard, basically, and conjuring up a night circus as the venue that just like pops up, and like new magical tents are constantly appearing. Like, the concept of this is just so ingenious and I'm so obsessed and in love with it. I of course gave it 5 stars. I don't think I need to say that for any other book. They should all be 5 stars. But yeah, I just loved it so much. I have a lot of like fandom merchandise for the Night Circus because of book subscription boxes, so finally I can say that I have read it and I am a true fan, and I can't wait to start collecting editions of this and rereading it in the future and again and again and again. The second book that I want to talk about is The House on Abigail Lane by Keelan Patrick Burke. It is on the wish list. I will be purchasing this sometime, hopefully soon. I have shouted from the rooftops time and time again my love and admiration of Keelan Patrick Burke, who is an Irish horror writer, typically focusing on novellas, which is like, yes, please, more novellas. But horror novellas especially, I think, are just like the perfect size because you can pack a punch with the horror, but you don't have to make it like a big dramatic thing. But The House on Abigail Lane is entirely that. It is dramatic, but like in a beyond unique and different way. The Last House on Abigail, no, I keep wanting to say that. No, it is not The Last House on Needless Street. The House on Abigail Lane by Keelan Patrick Burke, goodness grief, is following the history of a house. Think of it like a news article. A very long news article that is following the history of the singular house from the time it was built to the time it was torn down, and it is fantastic. I, with my whole chest, can say this is one of my favorite books of all time. For sure one of my favorite books of the year. It was like at nothing I've ever read before. I devoured it in one sitting, and again, it's like 100 pages. That's probably not hard for people, but I didn't want to put it down. I was so fascinated by everything that was going on, and like each different scenario with like different groups of people. It was just like so well done, and I love it so dearly. It is a book that I plan to revisit time and time and time again. Of course, to no surprise to anybody, I'm sure. Just just grab it because I didn't want spoilers. All of Us Villains by Amanda Foody and Christina Lynn Herman. I like tabbed this. This is the first book that I tabbed, which means like I have a special connection to it already. I read along with the audiobook, which I thought was incredibly well done. And then I finished this story and I went and talked about it for like an hour straight to my boyfriend, just like rambling about everything that happened, all of the characters, like where it left off, what I'm excited for, so on and so forth. It was wonderful. This is kind of like a Hunger Games situation. We're following 7 different characters, sort of. We're really following like, what, 4 characters? But we're following 7 families that participate in a tournament style to the death, where one person from the family, often a kid, weird, is going into a competition to decide which family is going to hold this high magic for, what, 10 years, I think. And they do this tournament. It is a curse, more so. They are bound to it. They have to participate or someone will just like randomly die. I thought this was very well done. I really enjoyed the characters. I like that they're all kind of villainous and morally gray, but like also so pure and sweet. I truly adored Alistair Lowe, especially. I love the like tropey, campy romance that this had between Alistair and Isabel. Like, no, it's not great, it's kind of silly, but like, I adore it. I love that kind of stuff. It's exactly what I want out of like a YA book. I thought it was great. I love the magic system so much, and I really enjoyed like the ending and like the twist that came in. Although it wasn't like a shock, it was like so clever. And I'm just so excited to see what this next book has in store, and the fact that I haven't read it is so dumb of me. But that's gonna go back living proudly on my shelves. The next book that I want to talk about is The Plot by Jean Hanf Korelitz, I believe. I'm sorry if the pronunciation is off. But this is a thriller, which I don't think I've had a thriller in my favorites before. I've definitely had them in my least favorites before. But this is a thriller that's kind of a love letter to publishing and writing. We're following an author who takes the work of a dead student, and his past student who had passed away. He decided to write the concept of a book that the kid thought of and shared. Does that make sense? This student joined a writing program and told the professor like the plot of his book, and he passed away before he was able to write it, and therefore the professor many years later ended up writing the story, and it became like a huge sensation. Like, it was a big hit, everybody loved it. And it has that conversation of like plagiarism, stealing work, so on and so forth, and it was very fascinating. The plot twists in the book, and then the book, because there's a book within a book, the plot twists for both were phenomenal. I thought it was incredibly well done. The ending was like, whew, it got me. It totally got me. I thought it was so well done, so fantastic. I highly recommend this to like anybody. I don't think it's a thriller that people need to shy away from if they're like not into thrillers or they're scared for any reason. Like, this isn't something to be like scared of, but like, it's so good. Number 5 is absolutely no shock to anybody. Heartstopper, the entire series Heartstopper, is like a favorite. It's comfort. I've read this twice in 1 year. You can tell she like won't close right. I need so many copies, so many editions of this. Like, I just need to start collecting. I have a shelf dedicated to them. I love so much. This is just following Nick and Charlie, 2 high school students. Charlie, who was outed I believe a year prior to them meeting, and coming back to school from the summer, and meeting Nick, who is your typical straight rugby boy, or so we all thought. It's so charming. They're so sweet. It's so comforting. The 3rd and 4th volumes do get a bit heavier in topic, so like, do beware if you haven't read these and you want to try them out. But besides that, like, they're so good. I'm so excited to see where the show goes from here. It's phenomenal. Netflix and Alice Oseman have done an incredible job on the show. Like, it's exactly what it needs to be. It is done so perfect. It's just perfect. But the graphic novels themselves are also just such sweethearts. I'm so silly for taking this long to read them. BookTube was right. They're good. but I finally read them twice now, and I will continue to read these again. This next book is not one that I highly recommend to the masses, but also like want everybody to read and give a try. Confessions by Kanae Minato. I adore this. I love this so much. I probably would have never picked this up if it wasn't for the Literally Dead Book Club hosted by Kayla over at Books and Lala. And the live show was so much fun. Like, read this book, go rewatch the live show. It's a fantastic time. If you have absolutely no interest, you can watch the live show. They do spoil a good bit. We basically went chapter by chapter. It was so much fun. And I think that adds to the experience, like when you read a book and then you can discuss it and have fun discussing a book and talk about it. I think that adds a lot to like whether it becomes a favorite or not. But this one most certainly has. I think this is so well done. This is translated from Japanese, which I've learned this year. I really enjoy Japanese fiction. But this is like it's a thriller, but it's like a drama, and it's so strange to try and explain. But basically we're following a teacher who is about to sort of retire. She's quitting because her daughter recently passed away, and on her final day, she holds the kids after school to tell them the story of the two boys who drowned her daughter that are sitting in the class. And it is following the events after that. I think there's maybe like, what, 6 chapters, 5 perspectives. The ending was so good. I could gush about this book all day. I need more people to read it so that I can just keep talking about it, really. Like, I just want to like have conversations about books that I love over and over again. So, Confessions. It's so good. And the next one is sort of like in similar theme, Convenience Store Woman by Saraka Murata. I never know how to properly explain this book in a way that people will want to pick it up and people will enjoy it, because I don't think this book will be for everybody, and that has been proven to me before. I definitely think like some people will get it and some people won't get it, and that's cool, but I have a love for this book that I cannot express in words properly. And it's mostly because if you haven't worked in retail and if you can't relate to someone who is autistic coded, you might not get it. Not that I'm autistic, but I can relate a lot to the characters' thoughts and feelings and like just their way of life. And so it was very fascinating to read, and it was like nothing I've ever read before. It's pretty short. I was able to like read it in one sitting because it's like 100, 200 pages or something. But it's just like so pure. I love the love of mundanity and life. People who just enjoy going to their jobs and like working their jobs and that being okay, because that's cool too. Yeah, it was something that I really enjoyed. I can't explain it well enough. I can't express my feelings for it properly, but just know that I love it, and it's one of my favorite books of all time. Book number 8 on this list is The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Wang. This is a graphic novel, which I learned that I absolutely love and adore this year. This is following the dress and the prince and like their unlikely friendship, and it has conversations on like gender fluidness, anyway. But I really enjoyed like the perspective of the prince and like his feelings and his emotions and his family discovering his big secret and everything that comes along with it. And I just thought it was like incredibly well done, and it made me think a lot. It made me emotional. I just have a lot of fond memories of it. In number 9 is The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. This is a fantasy romance, arranged marriage trope, I'm going to kill you to lovers, kind of enemies to lovers trope. I adored this. I read this and then I was on like a 5-star book high, if you will. And the come down was brutal. I really enjoyed this. I did not want to leave the world. I had ordered the second book, but it took like a very long time to get here, and I still haven't read it because of that. So I definitely need to get back into this world. But in this, we are following our main character who lost her best friend due to the king, and the fact that the king marries somebody new in the night of the wedding, he kills her. And she's like, that's like not cool. And so she decides that she's going to be the one to stop him. So she's like, I'm gonna marry him, I volunteer as tribute, and then I'm gonna kill him. But instead of killing him, they fall hopelessly and madly in love because she tells beautiful stories. And it's just, I just appreciate this so much. I just love their chemistry and like the characters, who they are. I don't love someone's perspective because I don't care about him, but I really enjoy the romance in this. I really enjoyed the world. I'm excited to see where it goes in the next book. I just need to get on it. And the last one, which I don't really want to go into like a lot of discussion because I don't care how people feel about my favorite books, you know? But in last place, I did choose Lightlark by Alex Astor, which is so funny to me because like I read a lot of good books. Like A Man Called Ova by Frederick Brockman, objectively far better than this, but the reading experience of this just made it better, you know? So objectively, I wouldn't say this is like a good book. I wouldn't say it is a great book. I wouldn't say that most people are going to enjoy this book even, but I enjoyed it because I like dumb, tropey YA fantasy. That is my comfort genre. I have so much fun in it. I absolutely adored, especially the first half of this book. I enjoyed the plot twist. I enjoyed the Stephanie Garber-esque writing style, even though it was not perfection. I think that it was a fun time more than like a good book, which I think is exactly how I prefer my favorite books to be. I am reading for a good time to escape my shitty life and my evil brain, and so this was just like so much fun and so dumb and silly, and it doesn't make a lot of sense, and a lot of people have a lot of problems with it, and I agree with the majority of the things said about this, but I still think that like you can have fun reading this book. I genuinely think that it's a good time. That's it. What's this about? Kingdoms are dying because of this curse or something? I don't really remember. And they have to come together and work on, like, it's kind of like a show. Like, they have to prove their powers in different, like, tournament kind of styles. Like, I haven't read this book, so, like, forgive me if I'm wrong, but, like, Throne of Glass, they, like, go into a tournament and, like, you have to like shoot a bow well. It's kind of like that. Like you have to like show off your strengths and weaknesses to the other kingdoms and then work together. Somebody's supposed to die at the end, like during the tournament, and they're trying to like break the curse so that everyone can live happily ever after. That's my really bad synopsis of this book that I enjoyed. But those are the 10. I don't have like a lot to say about my favorite books. I feel like most of the time I enjoy a book, I'm like, yeah, good vibes. The vibes are good. Therefore, good book. I don't read objectively necessarily. If I'm in like the headspace to really like think about a book, sure. But most of the time I'm just reading for a good time, and I think that's equally as important. So just, you know, be nice to people about their reading, maybe. And remember that reading one book is more important than reading a good book. But that's gonna be it for this video, I believe. Yeah, again, but yeah, I'm not necessarily recommending these books to you. If you want to pick one up because it sounds interesting or you've heard me talk about it too many times on this channel, then I would say go for it. If it's something you think you will enjoy, read it. If you don't think you'll like it, don't read it. I will say though that the first like 6 or whatever, 7, whatever that I did mention are like good, and I think like have a wide chance of being loved by people. Like all books have an audience, they just have to find the book. The audience has to find the book. The book has to find the audience. Anyway, I'm rambling because I don't know how to speak English anymore. I'm gonna go. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you've picked any of these up because of me or just because it sounds interesting. I have... Oh, it's gonna be so much fun. We're talking about worst books next. I'm literally gonna film it like right after this. It'll be up on Thursday after this one. oh, I'm going to have more to say, because hating on books is like a different story than like loving books. Like, I love books for the vibes. I don't like books for not the vibes. For anything but the vibes. There's something wrong with it. So I think that'll be a more fun one to film. Maybe more fun to watch. Who knows? But that's going to be it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys very soon in my next video. Bye!